A very good evening from me, Charulata Bansal, and the Celerity Supply Chain Tribe team. Thank you, audience, for taking the time to join us today as we talk about the next frontier in supply chain visibility. It is my pleasure now to welcome our panelists. With a huge round of applause, please welcome Mr. Harshit Shrivastava, Mr. Hitesh Arya, Mr. Pankaj Kapoor, Mr. Pramod Gupta, and Mr. Vaibhav Agarwal, and ably moderated by Mr. Sanjay Desai. To make these 90 minutes more interactive, feel free to drop comments and questions on the topic in the comments section. Our panel will respond to them. At Celerity Supply Chain Tribe, we aim to be a one-point source by generating first-hand, credible content on relevant business topics through multiple channels and media. This webinar is our endeavor of generating conversations and knowledge around supply chain visibility. So, without further ado, I now invite Mr. Sanjay Desai to take forward the discussion. Over to you, Sanjay ji.
Thank you so much, Charu. Thank you so much, Celerity. Namaskar. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sanjay Desai. I'm based in Singapore. I run my own supply chain frontiers, one under the name of All About Supply Chain, working with startups and MSMEs. And I get an opportunity to work with some of the best and young minds in the supply chain business. And I also run supply chain talent advisory and placement services under the name Humana International. Visibility has been generally called as the holy grail of business, and not just for supply chain, but your entire value chain and the entire organization, right? And what is visibility, by the way? Visibility is an ability of an organization to track the individual components, right from your sub-assemblies, assemblies, your parts, right, your raw materials, as they travel from your tier 4, tier 3, tier 2 suppliers into your own manufacturing, and then conversion of finished goods, and then the finished goods move into your distribution network from your primary distribution to secondary to even retail on the shelf and to finally to the end customer. So while the ongoing supply chain disruptions lead to delays, visibility enables proactive decision making. It also enables transparency and trust among all shareholders. Thank you so much for all the delegates who have given your time today to join us in this wonderful seminar about what is visibility for supply chain, what is visibility for businesses. There are so many questions around visibility, whether it is tainted, how to make it possible, and we have a fantastic panel today, which Charu has already introduced. So I would hand it over to my panel to self-introduce themselves, starting from Harshit. Over to you.
Thank you, Sanjay ji. Hi, everyone. My name is Harshit Shrivastava. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Intugine Technologies. I come from a small town called Bina, Madhya Pradesh, and then I went on to IIT Kharagpur to do my undergrad. In the third year, I dropped out of college to build my own company, and that's how Intugine started. And today we are working with a lot of enterprises in India.
Thank you so much, Harshit, and such a wonderful to have you around so that we can get a view of what your clients do, what is about the technology. And thank you so much for being here today. Hitesh, over to you.
Yeah, hi. Good evening, everyone. It has been a pleasure to be part of this event. I am Hitesh Arya. I am from Mumbai. I am part of Ultratech logistics team. I take care of all the supply chain transformation and logistics process excellence initiatives at Ultratech. It has been more than almost 9 years now at Ultratech Logistics, and it has been my passion to solve all the problems of supply chain and debottleneck all the constraints which we have. And every day has been challenging and exciting. Yeah, looking forward for this event. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, Hitesh. And we're looking forward for some of the initiatives that you have launched in your life. coming more from a process background. So we'll be looking forward to a wonderful discussion. Over to you, Pankaj.
Thank you, Sanjay. Glad to be a part of such a good panel and to discuss things that I like. Hello, everyone. This is Pankaj. I am Vice President Digital for Operations at Tata Consumer Products. I love solving supply chain problems and learning about them. So that's from me. Looking forward to the discussion, and I'll add value wherever I can. Thank you. Sanjay, over to you.
Thank you, Pankaj. And yes, I can resonate with the color of your hair because you're solving problems. Naturally, it will turn from black to white, right? It's a natural phenomenon. Just kidding. Over to you, Pramod.
Thanks, Sanjay. I'm delighted to be a part of this seminar today. Thanks for having me here. I am the CFO of Arvind Fashions. We are fashion retailers with brands like Tommy, CK, US Polo, Sephora, Arrow, FM, etc. I have been a CFO as well as I have been handling supply chain in my different avatars over a period of time. I have handled supply chain in commodities business, in pharma, FMCG, and now retail. I have also been in supply chain companies like DHL and also in a startup. So therefore, I have seen supply chain both from a provider's perspective as well as from a customer perspective, and also as CFO, I have looked at it from finance perspective. And one of my roles here is also to lead IT. Therefore, I have also looked at it from technology side. I've also looked at it from technology side when I was in Microsoft. So I have in more than one views of supply chain and solving the problems in supply chain. So really excited to be a part of this panel today.
Thank you, Pramod. And really looking forward to a financial view, to a logistics view, and to an IT view, which is more like a 3D. So thank you so much. Vaibhav, over to you.
Thanks, Sanjay. First of all, thanks everyone for inviting me to this conference. It's really a pleasure, and I'm feeling proud to be part of such an eminent group. Now, about my background, I have around 16 years of work ex, all chain, planning, procurement, manufacturing, or logistics. Majority of my time is spent in FMCG companies like Hindustan Unilever, like Johnson & Johnson, Mondelez, and now with Britannia. But I've also been part of a couple of startups where I have put entire route to market from scratch. So that is something which I love to do. So right now I'm heading customer service and logistics for Britannia, and I'm based out of Bangalore.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Thank you so much. And then kind of an appeal to all of our delegates today. Thank you so much for joining, as Charu alluded to in the beginning. We have been having these webinars in 2021, and each one of you have supported with amazing numbers. And today also we have roughly crossed about 1,300 to 1,400 registrations. So thank you so much to everybody who has registered and who is going to dial in today. Make it more interactive. Ask as many questions as you can live via LinkedIn as well as via YouTube. And today we are actually also going live for the first time on Facebook as well. So thank you so much. And if you look at the contingent of panel we have a technologist, we have a startup leader, we have somebody coming from cement industry, which is one of the difficult products to make. Then we have business analytics and digitalization professional here. We have a CFO and an IT mixed view. And then we have a hardcore consumer product selling cheese, craft, and biscuits. So it's going to be a fantastic coastal rider today. Let me start with Harshit, getting you onto the screen. And Harshit, can you explain me, what do you think about visibility, especially when you work with your clients, and how important you feel the importance that you get from them?
Yeah. Yeah, Sanjay. So we at Intugine, we work with over 150 customers, and we enable real-time supply chain visibility across 7+ industries. So I can share some of my thoughts on how do we look at it and how different industries are looking at it. So at its crux, supply chain visibility or visibility in general is knowing where all of your products are at all points of time, and your product moves from raw materials to factories to manufactured goods across your distribution chain till distributors and retailers. So visibility is about knowing where exactly each product is at all points of time. That is at the crux of it. And but at a more higher level, and for us and for organizations, it's actually about improving the supply chain management, and we see it into three phases, right? So the first phase that we see is transparency. So supply chain visibility is to bring transparency in the supply chain, integrating with it can be done through integrations with a lot of GPS enabled vehicles, or a lot of shipping lines using IoT devices and different ways to enable tracking of all your vehicles and containers and parcels moving across the globe. It also involves using technologies like Beacon to enable what is happening inside the yard, right? What is happening in the loading and the unloading locations. And finally, it involves integrations with dozens of ERPs and CRM systems and WMS systems to pull all the data on one single platform. With this transparency, you can basically act on disruptions within a matter of minutes, and sometimes you can even act before those disruptions actually happening with predictive visibility. Once you have this transparency set up, the next thing that we do is to enable intelligence, right? The idea is to analyze the data that we gather from supply chain visibility and measure a lot of KPIs like SLA adherence, on-time percentage, OTIF, daily kilometers, route-wise performance of different transporters, how different transporters are performing on different routes. Are you running at par to the industry standard? All these components of intelligence come in once you have the real-time visibility. And once you have this in place, then comes the third and the last phase, which is actionability. Basis all this data, we help in general in supply chain visibility, companies can make decisions like changing the business share of their carriers and transporters. They can improve their network design with actual data on ground. They can plan their inventories and safety stocks much better. And at the end of it, the idea is to bring down the cost and most importantly, deliver a great, delightful customer experience. So that's for me what visibility is.
Wonderful, Ashish. Some of the elements that you actually address are fantastic in terms of the transparency you talked about, in terms of predictive analysis, and most important, you said one word was last was actionability, right? And that is something, a key element, not just having a visibility, but how do you act on it? And that is something I'll come back to you again, and we'll talk about it. Let's bring Pankaj onto the screen. And Pankaj, what is your view coming more from an analytics perspective, more from a digitalization and technology perspective here?
So Sanjay, for me, visibility would be clarity and ease with which one can view the complete picture. Like visibility also for me is equality of information availability across all the decision makers, right? We've seen people spending a lot of time asking each other questions about the data itself, about where the product is. A lot of that discussion will become null and void once everybody has the same information. Now, one is about that information, one is about the scope or the breadth of and depth of the information that's available. So, for me, visibility forms the key ingredient on taking any decision by the business. Let me take an erstwhile example. Even a Dhritarashtra had to use a Sanjay, right, during Mahabharata. So, today also we've got people who are dependent upon other people. So, this is all about independence. If data is given to everybody, there's equality on data. People take decisions on their own. Additionally, for me, supply chain as a whole is all about flow. We should always look at improving the flow. That's been my philosophy. Visibility of where my product is, what's happening to it, am I serving the consumer better? Because in the end, it's all about keeping your promise to the consumer. If the flow is smooth, the consumer gets whatever he or she wants at the right time in the right quantity with the right quality. So visibility for me is the key ingredient in having a smooth flow, providing information to the consumer, to all the people who are trying to serve the consumer. So in short, that's what visibility does for me. It's a carrier, it's a catalyst.
Excellent, right? As you said, it's a carrier, it's a catalyst. And it's all about customer, right? And that's what you have been saying, right? Customer is so important that once you have visibility, you have a smooth flow, and you also trigger information to the customer. So amazing. Let's bring Vaibhav onto the loop. And Vaibhav, from a consumer perspective, right? When you deal with craft and cheese and products which are consumed, and the definition for me for a food product or a biscuit is, it is the same customer bring, eating or using the product maybe a couple of times in a day. So that's again a different mechanism. That is again a different kind of a supply chain requirement and product supply requirements. So coming from that perspective, what is your thought on visibility and how important it is for your organization?
Thanks, Sanjay. Let me interesting question. I mean, let me put it through a story, right? So let's assume you're hungry. Suddenly, you get a call from your favorite pizza store asking whether you want to order your favorite pizza or not. You just give a consent, and in next 2 minutes, you have a pizza delivered, piping hot pizza, your favorite pizza delivered at your door at a cost of rupees 50. Right? How does it sound? I mean, it sounds amazing, right? But
Yeah.
is it possible? I guess it is possible, right? It is possible through visibility, right? What kind of visibility am I talking about? I'm talking about three kinds of visibilities here. I'm talking about one, demand visibility. I'm talking about two, supply visibility. I'm talking about three, stock visibility. Right. Now, let me tell you how did it all happen. So the consumer was actually wearing a smartwatch. So as soon as he started feeling hungry, the smartwatch actually picked up the signal from the changes in your body, from the reactions in your body, and sent a signal to your favorite pizza store. So the pizza stores received that signal and and called you immediately. And when it called you immediately, it kind of then they already know by your ordering pattern, by your machine learning and AI, they already know what kind of pizzas do you love. So they gave you a couple of options from your favorite pizza. Obviously, you will order one of them. Now, as soon as you ordered one of them, they were actually not sitting on any inventory because all the vendors also got the similar kind of visibility or of the order that you have placed, and immediately within no time they were able to deliver what you want to that manufacturing location of that pizza, and the pizza was immediately baked and sent it to you. Now, since nobody was holding any inventory, there no supply chain, so there are no major supply chain cost of inventory holding and all that. So hence you were able to get. So there was no obsolescence in food industry. Obsolescence is a big cost. So without any obsolescence, that pizza was able to deliver to you, and hence a 300 rupees pizza probably what it costs today, or we were able to deliver to you at rupees 50. So this is a power of visibility, right? Now any disruption that happens from the back end is a supply visibility. So then you start building in this VUCA world, you start building your defensive against that supply chain disruptions that may happen through backend. So and
Yes.
hence by this visibility, you are able to do a lot of you are able to take a lot of right decisions at the right time, so that you save on your cost. You can do a customer delight, and you can achieve what you want to achieve as a business.
Excellent, Vaibhav. And you talked about obsolescence. You also talked about stock, and you talked about visibility of three spectrum: demand, supply, and as well as inventory. So let's get Pramod, right? And Pramod as a CFO, and when you look at your financials, right, and you look at your working capital, just now what Vaibhav alluded to. So are
Mm.
there any clear benefits if you have a visibility into your stocks, into your inventories, into your asset management? And how deeper that visibility is required, say from example financial reporting perspective, from audit controls perspective, from compliance and regulatory?
Yeah, sure. See, visibility is the eyes of the organization. I mean, it's like, if you were to think of our body, then say that, is my, am I able to see? Only if I'm able to see, then I'm able to take action. And then again, when I have this quarterly audit committee meeting, and I have one coming up on Friday. uh, One of the first questions that unnerves, whether it is auditors or me as CFO or the audit committee, is that do you know what risks you are carrying? And you you cannot know what risks you are carrying unless you have a visibility. And we are an inventory based organization. In fact, if you leave some of the services organizations or IT organizations aside, most of the world is a physical inventory based organization, and therefore inventory visibility is the most important visibility that you need. In many ways, the way I look at it is that, like, if I was to look at my assets, and we are a design company and not really not as much into manufacturing, I have either got inventory or I have debtors, and sometimes I call that debtors are my inventories, which are on which I have booked my profits. Like, for example, in the apparel business, while there are stores that I run myself, there are also channel partners to whom we sell, and most of the channel partners have an ability, contractual ability, to return at least some part of the products back to me if they are unsold.
Yes.
Either they can be a sale or return basis, or they can even be, even if I have sold outright and I have collected the money at the end of the season, 10 to 15% of the products they can send back to me. So therefore, for me, visibility is not only for the inventories that I am carrying either in my stores or in transit or in my warehouse, etc. I would expand the scope of visibility to even what is the unsold inventory lying at my dealers' places. How old are they? What is the rate of sale versus the inventory that is being carried? So therefore, one is a classical inventory visibility from the viewpoint of whether I have physical controls on the inventory. Are my inventories reconciled? Is my goods in transit under control, etc. But if I was to expand it to the business planning, then I need to have inventory visibility even in terms of what are the high level of inventories lying in my channels vis-a-vis the rate of sale, which may come back to me at a certain point in time, at the end of the season, and therefore, what should I do about it? So, therefore, inventory is important for me, both from the controls point of view as well as in terms of the future business planning point of view.
Excellent. And Pramod, can you talk a little bit about, does it help into your management of financial reporting, and which are those levelers that you can talk about?
Okay. See, the thing is that if I was to really look at it, as I said, we are a multi-channel, business.
Yes.
The inventories are lying in my stores. They are lying in my, marketplace warehouse, which is a very different system altogether, because it requires an integration with marketplaces, and each of the marketplaces have got their own ways and means of, identifying inventory. Therefore, an SAP does not necessarily support all of that. Therefore, I have a separate place in which we keep the
Yes.
marketplace inventory. Then I have my own warehouse and so on and so forth. So therefore, I need to have a good understanding of not only the quantities, but I also need to have an understanding of the inventory at, let's say, SKU level, fashion level, etc., so that I am able to do advanced planning for the inventory that is available and also in the pipeline. So
First
that becomes
class.
very, very important for us. Did I
Excellent.
answer your question?
Absolutely, Pramod. Absolutely. Now, let's get Hitesh onto the screen. And Hitesh, this is such a fantastic discussion. We talked about trust, we talked about transparency, we talked about a bit of stocks, and Pramod actually being the retail product that he does. He also talked about not just your stocks, but even your distributor stocks, even the stocks that is on the shelf, which has the potential to come back, right? So that means you need to really have a deep analysis. Now, just going one step backwards and say, in your experience for a B2B product like cement or any other product that you have handled before, in your opinion, how much industry has learned a lesson in the last 2 years, specifically taking COVID-19 as a catalyst or as a case study, whether it has really hastened organization, it has pushed organization over the cliff to have a real integrated system in place so that you're able to manage your assets, including your people and inventory from a visibility perspective. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I think Vaibhav, Pankaj, and almost all the panel members have very beautifully summarized the impact and significance of visibility, and we have same or similar level of impact in our manufacturing sector of including the cement industry. Last 2 years or 2.5 years, I would say, since COVID impact, uh, it has accelerated our adoption of digitization in supply chain, which clearly gives us the edge for visibility part. Now, today, visibility has become a hygiene factor for us, which everyone said that there should be a common visibility, standard visibility across chain, whether it is our internal customers, external customers, and it has become so hygiene today that people cannot live without that level of visibility. Uh, One thing is that the customer demand, which we are seeing, is actually uh, putting the pressure on order fulfillment or the demand fulfillment, and to ensure that we live up to the expectation of service levels of those order fulfillment, we need to have that visibility of information which is required to measure the service level, optimize cost, plan our execution, and as you said rightly, build trust and transparency in the entire system. Last 2.5 years, what we have seen, 2 years I would to be exact, is that the adoption of digital technology, which is enabling visibility, has gone up high, which in maybe a normal scenario we would have taken another 4 5 years to adopt. All the processes, whether we call it as electronic proof of delivery, visibility of our assets, products, inventory, which earlier were more a manual process, has now been mostly digitized, made paperless. Even all our freight bills and including our invoices, everything is now digitally signed and digital copies are submitted. There are no handing over of hard copies. So we do not require commercial transporter going to our commercial team manually checking it, or our customer giving proof of delivery on a paper. All these things have been now done away in last two, and that acceleration has only happened in the last 2 years. There was a compulsion also, because to have the COVID follow the COVID protocols and keeping the safe distance, and that is where people started adopting, and slowly and steadily people also found clear value in it. Because of this digital and visibility, the overall payment cycle of transporters came down, their cash flow improved. We were able to take advantage of better freights. So, from that perspective, last 2.5 years has been very wonderful for, I'm sure, with most of us, other industry as well, where we have adopted this digital and technology, whether it is IoTs or through different platforms, which has improved, not helped us pass through this COVID difficult period by maintaining all this safe distance and all, but also clearly added value to us.
Excellent, Hitesh. And keeping you onto the screen, right? You spoke about Vaibhav, right? I mean, you heard Vaibhav talking about a consumer product, and then Pramod talking about an apparel versus your product kind of being consumed by customers, but then it could still be classified as B2B or going via a larger distribution network. Are there any basic differences in terms of the treatment that you have, or in terms of the system or network setup you require at the back to manage that kind of visibility?
Yeah, at least in cement industry, we have both B2B and B2C, because we deliver a lot of cement direct to our end consumer also. Uh, the basic difference, there is a lot of similarity, but I would talk about the basic difference which we manage, especially through visibility, is the sheer scale at which we are operating. We have more than 50 plants across the country. There are thousands of orders which flow to us in an hour. That is an hourly business for us, and which gets distributed from different plants, different warehouses, different head. And to manage the sheer scale of the business, we require most of the processes to be digitized, to be online, and also that clear visibility to all the people in the supply chain, whether we talk about our manufacturing counterparts, we talk about our logistics team who's dispatching through our rakes and road and through our ships, and to also our sales team, our key accounts team, and finally to our end consumers, which are our dealers, retailers, and even the individual
Yes.
house builders. So that connectivity is what is very critical to manage such a scale of operations.
Excellent. Connectivity and scale, right? And that's something you said it very well. Let's get Harshit right back onto the screen, and then Harshit, let's talk about leverage, right, and benefits combined. So assume that organizations have visibility into their end-to-end value chain. It's a dream come situation, but let's assume it. How should they utilize it, and how would they benefit from it? What are the steps, or what would be your advice to them?
Yeah, Sanjay. Yeah, so I think we have all the panelists have shed a little bit of light around the value of visibility, of end-to-end visibility. But yeah, let me try to put some structure from my from my point of view. That I think the one benefit which we have already talked about briefly is the customer delight and a great customer experience, right? So today, when we order food from Swiggy or Zomato, we get a real-time visibility of where the rider is, when is it going to come at our location, and it helps us set a customer expectation. It also helps Swiggy manage those deliveries better, right? Now imagine a B2B scenario where organizations and brands are moving millions of dollars of inventory, and there they are missing this piece of being able to better manage as well as better deliver a great customer experience, right? So the idea behind visibility is to take this experience and bring it across the supply chain at all different nodes of the supply chain. So the number one value that that I believe there is intangible, but it's very important, is a great customer experience. And in a larger B2B scenario, right, this visibility means a lot. It helps customers improve their operations. For example, a distributor or a retail store can plan their commitments to their customers better if they have a visibility of when the goods are going to arrive, right? Auto manufacturer can manage their assembly line and their production better if they have a visibility of incoming components, and if they know that a certain component is going to get missed, they can arrange an alternate immediately, because a minute of delay can cause lakhs and crores of losses on an assembly line, right? So one area of benefit is customer experience and helping customers manage their operations better, right? Now coming to a more, I would say, a tangible benefit, an area of tangible benefit, right? So interestingly, in India, about 6% of our GDP is stuck in inventory carrying cost, right? It is the inventory which left the manufacturing facility, but it did not yet reach the customer's hand, right? So this inventory carrying cost is taking up 6 rupees out of every 100 rupees that all of us spend in India, right? And with visibility, with better control, better monitoring, as one of the key elements, we can actually bring this down and slash down this cost to less than 3%, right? So that's a major benefit of like reducing the and improving the efficiency of supply chain to an order of a single digit percentage of national GDP, right? And we have first hand seen that when organizations enable visibility in the supply chain, within a matter of 4 to 6 months, they see 40 to 50 crore of inventory disappearing from their system, from their supply chains, right? So the second major benefit is reduced cost of doing business, right? And then there are a lot of industry specific benefits. So FMCG and FMCD industries see the OTIF, on time in full metric shooting up, right? In retail, companies see products landing at the shelf at the right time, which saves a lot of loss of sale. It can actually drive up the top line by 0.5 to 1% overall. In alcohol beverages, costs of massive detention costs will come down as you improve your monitoring with real-time visibility. So these are all some of the benefits that different industries are seeing. And from more of a future supply chain digitalization perspective, right? We believe that visibility is one of the most key components to enable and unlock all of other digitization capabilities. So it can help with revenue recognition, it can help with invoice discounting, proof of deliveries, right? All these system can ride on top of visibility. They become much better with visibility. So it is a key component, we believe, of the truly digital enterprise, right? So that's my view on the end-to-end value.
Fantastic, Harshit. And you talked about the enterprise management, and you talked about going beyond enterprise also, and what is the leverage that you have in terms of getting the data right into the system. So I would like to bring Vaibhav on this. There is a question from Mr. Oren Simon, and thank you very much, Mr. Simon, for asking the question. And Vaibhav, the question is, we all agree that visibility is critical, but how do you get that visibility? What brings the data into the system? Who can build the cat in a way? Vaibhav, over to you.
Okay. Interesting question, Mr. Oren. So first of all, I would divide the answer into two parts. One is generation of data, and second is generating visibility out of that data. So we all agree that 10 years back, the IoTs were really expensive. Not only they were expensive, they were hard to use. The size
Yeah.
of the IoTs, the cost of the IoTs, how to use them, everything was very difficult. But with the technology getting more and more developed, the size of the IoT, the cost of the IoT, the ease of use, everything is getting more and more adaptable. So a lot of companies have started adopting to these IoTs, putting sensors in the right places, getting data out of it, feeding that data in the system has become much more simpler, much more cheaper to do. Now, after you have put in sensors at the right place, let's take example of simple. We put a simple temperature sensor in a temperature controlled vehicle, and that is connected to the GPS that automatically after every regular interval, say after every 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, take the temperature of the vehicle and sends it back into the cloud, right? Now, second part is how do you create visibility out of it? You have now data, you have it available in the cloud. Now, again, due to the advancement in the technology, the cloud systems coming in and everything coming in, now we have a single source of data in which all your systems on the computers, ERP systems pull the data from the same point, and then the visibility is corrected because now you're sharing that data with everyone, whoever needs it, and the source of the data is also single. There are not multiple sources of data, so that there is a conflict of data that keeps on happening, right? So hence you are able to capture the data and share it across the value chain to everyone from a single source. That gives visibility its real truth. Now, a lot of places we see that. So, for example, if you're flying an aeroplane, suddenly you see that the engine is overheating. Now, the pilot has to take a decision.
Yeah.
Now, it may actually happen due to the failure of the IoT device, right? And actually the engine is not overheating. So sometimes when they are very, very critical, these things, we need multiple sensors to be there and there, algorithms built in the place, which tells you what is the real critical this thing and what is not a critical sense. So different types of things are happening and in this advancement of technology. Hence, you sense the right data and then you share the right data across the value chain is something what will create a visibility, in my opinion. I hope I've answered the question.
Yes, yes, Vaibhav, you brought a lot of elements into the equation, including even a predictive analysis for the example about aeroplane flying that you give. Let's get Pankaj onto the screen, and then Pankaj taking this part of getting the data in, sharing it across the network, right, and then creating a trust environment. So let's talk on these two, three themes into one element is decentralization of value chains, right? And is good to say, let's share the data, but in reality, you will have IP issues and you have trust issues within the organization. Forget about enterprise wide, right? It is an inter-enterprise. So in the last 2 decades, right, supply chain networks have been very decentralized for various reasons, for cost reason, for agility, for lean, whatever. Now, in this scenario, what level of visibility that is possible for the organization? Is it siloed and is it disjointed that we need to make an effort to make it into a centralized one?
Thanks for the question, Sanjay. It's a very well debated question inside an organization as well. Let me take an example of various e-com partners that we have in the ecosystem, right? Now, if an e-com partner opens up its data via an API to us, anybody would be able to very easily view the data of the competition as well. Hence, there has to be certain boundary of the visibility of certain level of data that one can view. So that's one example I wanted to take. Second, it took them a long time to move from an EDI to an API opening and ease of data being visible to us as well. A mediator is required, or a software is required to kind of have only that lane of data visible to the owner. Third element is all about your supply chain partners, right? Your partners are your extended family. All of them need to have the right amount of data or information rather visible to them so that they can take a decision as per their karma that they are supposed to do and whatever they are designed to do. If you give too much information to somebody, then that somebody tries to join extra dots which they are not supposed to do and make a decision which they are not supposed to do. So hence too much of something is also bad. We've learned that, right? So the right amount of information should be made available to your partners because they are your value partners, they are your extended family who enable you to deliver the goods or the promise to the consumers. Now, the earlier panel members have also elaborated very clearly across the supply chain, all the data points should be stitched together, and the impact of it's like a domino effect. If one person moves in the right direction, the other team members also then move in the right direction. And for me, yes, visibility of that data, creating decentralized supply chains is very important. COVID has also given us an opportunity to rethink our processes. We've got
Yes.
manufacturing setup, third party setup, partners who are working with us. On the ground, every state government had different rule sets. They were all designed to enable business and safeguard the people working to deliver the promise, but they were different in each state. On the ground, if they were given the empowerment with certain data sets, a certain set of production was enabled. Actually, if you ask me, everybody said, okay, let's forget the smaller SKUs, let's make the larger SKUs and
Yes.
deliver the goods to the consumer. So, a lot of on the ground localized decisions and localized information flowing up to the central team enabled it. Procurement, for example, there is a certain set of business procurement that happens in the centralized supply chain, and a certain is already decentralized. So, it's the balance. If you can get the balance right, the decentralized supply chain can unlock a lot of value potential and enable everybody with it. So that's my take on it, Sanjay. And thanks once again for the question. I hope I was able to throw some light from my perspective on it.
Of course,
Would
and
love
you
to
talked
hear the
about,
other
yeah,
panel members.
you talked about e-com partnerships, right? You talked about the secondary network, and then you talked about boundary, right? Boundaries, as well as right amount of information, right? And that was something very much pertinent. Right amount of information, not a lack of it, not a surfeit of it, right? There is something staying on the on the borderline. Now, Harshit, there is a question for you from a LinkedIn user. Unfortunately, there is no name, but whoever who is, thank you so much. And the question is, uh, when do we foresee the next tech disruption in the supply chain industry, right? In terms of, sorry, that's not the question. Yeah. So the question is, you mentioned beacon tech is used in Intugine solutions, and isn't it an overhead when you deploy thousands of devices in the operations that have periodic battery related or maintenance needs? So it's again, we are kind of going back to cost versus value proposition. Harshit, over to you.
Yeah. No, I think this is very well put, and I think this is one of the challenges that we have been solving in our with Intugine in last few years. So I'll answer specifically for beacons that is discussed here, and then also answer try to answer for a broader range of devices, right? So when we talk about beacons, right, it is they are used to enable yard visibility. So basically, in a smaller area, in a warehouse or a plant, when you are trying to manage and get visibility of your loading and unloading operations, right from gating to the weighing points to loading and unloading, the invoicing area, and then the gate out. If you want to sort of track the whole journey, that is where we use beacons. And the way we are trying to solve this problem is to keep the number of devices limited, right? Because we will have to only track those vehicles while they are inside the yard, right? And at any point of time, there might be, let's say, a maximum of 50 vehicles which will be inside the yard. So we are capped to only, let's say, 50 or 60 such beacons. So the numbers of such beacons don't go beyond a number. And all the technology is plug and play. So the moment the vehicle reports at the loading point, right, you can just stick the magnetic beacon on the vehicle, and when it goes out, you can just take out that beacon at the security gate, right? And this plug and play operations make enable you to operate with much lesser number of these IoT devices, and you don't have to, for each shipment, you don't have to end up sending out a device. You can just plug it in at the gate in time, and then you can take it out when it is moving out, right? And the batteries are designed in such a way that they last for 2 to 3 years, and the cost is fairly low. So at a fairly low cost, you get a 2 to 3 year long life device, and the logistics to manage this recharging the beacons, etc., doesn't come into picture. So as Vaibhav was pointing out, right, over time the power and the size of these IoT devices, that has been optimized a lot. So they have made much more smaller, much lower cost with much longer battery lives to be able to be viable in the market, right? So that is specifically to beacon. But yeah, when we talk about the larger, let's say, portable GPS trackers or smart locks, then you need a comprehensive device management system, right? A software layer which can help you manage the devices, make sure that you don't lose them, you recharge them at time. Those comes complementary with all the device solutions. I hope that sheds some light.
Excellent, Harshit. And then, yes, it's a very comprehensive kind of an answer using comprehensive device management system, right? Using solutions. So let's talk about technology because you kind of, Harshit, you push the needle towards technology. And let's get Vaibhav in, right? And Vaibhav, there are a couple of questions I have. One question is actually coming in from Mr. Vinod Kumar, right? And thank you so much, Mr. Vinod. And the question is, what are the key challenges for supply mapping and the best ways to overcome, right? So this is one question, Vinod. I have another question which is on the similar ground because we're talking about mapping is, what are the advancement we have made in technology on this front so you can map the data, the raw data, make it all inclusive into a decision-making software and then go ahead. What's your thought on it, Vaibhav?
Yeah, so very interesting question, Sanjay ji. I guess collecting the data, giving a visibility is one part of it, and as everyone said, that taking an actionable decision on it is second part. I guess a lot of softwares in terms of TMS systems, DMS systems, WMS systems are now coming up in India. In fact, what I feel is that putting the right TMS or a DMS or a WMS, I would call it a management system, MS. So putting the right MS systems in your business is a far more challenging problem that we are all facing, rather than telling that we need a visibility or not. So everyone agrees in the company that we need a visibility. Now we need a visibility, but what to do with that visibility? So we need to put a TMS system. Let's take example of transportation. So in my transportation system, I need to put a transport management system in the system, in the place. Now there are a lot of companies that are available giving a similar kind of solution. For it is getting more and more difficult for me to pick which is the right fit for me, uh, and which company should I pick and implement in my system, which gives me the best results in terms of value proposition, in terms of money spent versus the value that I get out of it. So mapping. So if I understand the question correctly, mapping your visibility to the systems is not that challenging, but selecting the right system is the challenge that at least I am facing today. I don't know which system to go with, and which company to go with, because a lot of companies have started coming up, and that's the beauty of technology, right? You do something good, and suddenly you realize that someone else is doing even better. And the technology is evolving, technology is getting developed every day. Every day, the new problems are getting solved, and we are just enjoying what these guys are doing. And companies like Intugine, companies like other companies who are into this, they are actually doing the real good work, real hard work, and we are just enjoying um, because of that.
Thank you. Well, let me throw a goodie at you. And you talked about technology is evolving and it is solving problems. So, which is very much that is on the left hand side of the curve, right? But isn't technology also creating some problems for some professionals? Would that be a true statement?
I don't know what you mean by technology creating problems for few professionals. So I guess you're talking about technology taking away jobs of few people. Is that what the question is?
Hmm.
Right.
Yes.
So in my opinion, yes, due to technology, the right now technology is impacting the lower level jobs. But what technology is in a longer run, what technology will do is it will eliminate the lower level jobs, but it will create a lot of more higher level jobs. So
Yes.
a lot of people will get into creating these technologies. So a lot of blue collar jobs will go away, but a white collar jobs will emerge. A lot of people will start creating these technologies, start building these businesses, and
Sure.
that's where a lot of job creation will happen. So yes, someone's benefit is someone else's job. Sorry, someone else's loss. But yes, in a longer run, the society will get benefit out of it.
Fantastic, Vaibhav. And this is all about trust and transparency. It's all about right communication and then getting closer to the truth, right? So, Hitesh, I would like to get you on screen. There's a question from Nilesh, and thank you, Mr. Nilesh, for asking this question. How do you make the information available, reliable, and closer to the truth? Just now we talked about reliability and closer to the truth. So, how do you make it available? Hitesh, over to you.
Right, right. I think it's a nice question, and a good part of has been answered earlier by Vaibhav and other team members. Couple of things which Vaibhav said, I'll just add to it, which will definitely bring reliability. Is one, he talked at about the selection of IoTs. Now we have a huge range of IoTs which can give the information and visibility with respect to our assets, orders, inventory. We talk about GPS, position sensor, RFID. Harshit talked about beacon. So use of IoT is one thing which will give more reliable data and more transparent data because there is no manual intervention. GPS will give you where the truck is. That is sacrosanct. Nobody is going to question where because nobody can tamper with that GPS data. So at least the use of IoT will give you more reliable, transparent data. Is this one. Second, what also we spoke about is the selection of system. What system you select, because different applications, this different system has different way of capturing the data, and if we select the right kind of system which will suffice the need of the data information which is required, that will be kind of answer most of the questions. Third part which I would like to add more on this question is the process standardization, because there are so many warehouses, plants, or third party vendors, transporters, handling agents. Processes each of this node and each of the geography has to be standardized. If there are not standard process, no matter what IoT gives you data, no matter what system gives you data, There will be different data sets, and everybody will make a different sense out of it. And hence, reliability, to bring have reliability in the information, I would put these three pillars. One is the IoT, the second is the system, and third is the process standardization. On top of this, when we get the information, the reliability and trust has to be created, trust among all the team members, all the functionals, all the departments which are using. The trust has to be built, and how we build that trust is that when we get that information, in automated reports, dashboards, what we do is we then don't have meetings where each people coming in with their own data set. Then we open up those live dashboards and discuss against those numbers only. If anyone has those trust issues, that has to be resolved before the meeting. So that trust will only come when everybody is working on the same direction, that everybody is going to use the same data set, standard data set, and standard process on the ground. Hope I am able to answer the question.
Oh, yes, Hitesh, you kind of touched the right buttons, right? In terms of the challenges around process, the challenges around trust, the challenges around not having a standard data sets, right? And the next questions actually dovetails very well. And this is addressed to Pankaj. And I would like to get Pankaj on the screen. This is from Mr. Subodh. Thank you very much, Subodh, for asking. And it says, while digitization helped improving the visibility, but at the same time, there are challenges getting these implemented. Can you address this?
Thanks for diverting the question to me. So, both the perfect question. Uh, Everybody's got a different challenge while digitizing it, right? So, you've heard my fellow colleague also indicate here that which tool to take, that also is a headache. It's a positive headache to have. It's like your Indian cricket captain wanting to choose the right team, which team to put onto the field today for the match. So you evaluated three or four partners, and then tomorrow you've got another two. So you are in a bind. Should I go ahead with one? Should I wait for the other one? Second one is everybody is trying to solve the same problem in their own manner. So which manner fits you the best? Which partner fits you the best? Third, I would want to take a leaf out of the earlier question and say we are not here to take, or digitization is not here to take away jobs. If you are comfortable changing your phone every year as a hardware upgrade or a new feature upgrade, let's provide that training to our team members, to ourselves as well, to make it so easy that the adoption on digitization improves to the next level. That's one big challenge, because the adoption percentage of any digital product is a critical success factor. If people don't accept it, it's like a government coming into play, right? If people don't vote in, then it will not be successful. So that's the largest challenge here. And how do we solve that challenge? I am also a work in progress. I don't have a firm answer to it. Can we make it easy? Can we communicate a little more? Can we collaborate a little better? That's how I am approaching it. Can I give as much information I can to all my partners? So whenever I'm evaluating a product for a certain pain area, I give extra information to all of them. I even tell them who are the rest of the competing partners with you. So from my perspective, challenges, yes, loads of them. Digital, the second largest challenge is saying no to a digital product. Everybody's in a hurry. It's like a race. I want to digitize this area. That function is digitizing it. My friend in that company likes that product. He or she says, that is the one which will work well. So you have a pain area. It is unique to your company. Basis those pain points, these are the feature lists of that product. This suits us the best. So all these challenges together at the same time, is a big challenge in itself. So yes, finding the right product, finding the right partner, communicating with your internal stakeholders, and saying no sometimes. We will not digitize this area. It's working fine as it is. And the last one, the process at the back. You can buy a tool, you can put a digital product, but if the process is not standardized, the product will fail. People will come and
Exactly.
ask you to customize each and every element of that product, and that is where the product dies. So that's from my side. I can, you can understand the pain in my voice, but that's the challenge we are trying to overcome. Hopefully, we will all succeed on it jointly. Listening to other members also, I believe I've got fellow members, partners in crime on this point.
Excellent, Pankaj. And one of the things, a few of the things that you actually brought in was pain areas, a deeper understanding, uh, and partnerships, right? And selecting the right technology platform. So let's bring Harshit back into the mix, Harshit, and let's talk about the platforms, because you do so much of work on the platform side with your clients, right? What are the top three or four or two or three things that need to be kept in the mind while selecting a supply chain visibility platform? What would you advocate to your partners?
Yeah, thanks, Sanjay. Yeah, so if we while you're evaluating a supply chain visibility partner, right, uh, you need to sort of set an expectation, and that expectation depends on all the different modes of transportation that your organization is using, how the operations of the organizations are structured, right? And depending on that complexity, choosing the right fit would work. It's not a one solution fit all kind of space, but stepping one step further on it, right? In general, most of the what we have seen is most of the enterprises are using, let's say, full truckload movements in their distributor deliveries. They're using parcel movements in their D2C or direct to retail deliveries as well. While they're importing, they import a lot of raw materials, right, beyond India as well. So there are ocean and container movements as well. So I think if an organization is using multiple modes of transportation, evaluating that the partner have all those modes covered in their visibility platform, be it full truckload visibility or parcel visibility or container visibility, or if it's a rail visibility, those all capabilities should be well covered to actually enable an end-to-end visibility. There are other few areas, for example, while you are evaluating visibility partner, if which TMS, which WMS systems, which ERPs, which CRMs are you using, and is the partner already integrated with those, or are they ready to bring or do those integrations so that these systems do not sit in silos, right? At the end, we have to bring everything together. All systems should be talking to each other. So the idea is to evaluate that capability of the new partner into your existing environment of systems that you are using, and that becomes another criteria. And I think one of the most important things that some of the panelists and I think a lot of delegates have brought in is that implementation and the success of implementation is very important, right? So just having a platform doesn't really work. The partner should be able to work with all your warehouses, plants, your other service providers, and drive all those integrations and trainings and to make product really successful on ground. So while you're evaluating a visibility partner, whether you are taking a trial or a demo, try to evaluate if the partner can actually deliver, let's say, at least 95% of visibility while they are doing that trial, right? With that selected small warehouse or a small operation that you're trying them on. So because that is going to be very key area to success. I've seen certain organizations after an year or 2 year of choosing a wrong partner end up thinking that this technology itself doesn't work, right? While a lot of time it's the gap of the implementation capability of the partner, right? So I think these few areas of like implementation capability, integrations with other systems, CRMs, ERPs, integration with other carriers, courier service providers, etc. And then modal coverage, if they're covering all the modes that are involved in your transportation. Those are the few things to look at while you're selecting a mobility partner.
Excellent, Harshit. And after hearing you, seems like some amount of work there in terms of looking at different application software, middlewares, in terms of doing some evaluations, right? Looking at partners in the network. So seems like there is a lot of cost versus value kind of preposition statements to make. So let me get Pramod, the CFO, on the ground here. And then Pramod, if I look at what just Harshit alluded to, right, from a cost versus the value proposition of the product and the visibility statement, is it sandwiched between the cost and the value? And what would happen if organizations tomorrow start to perceive visibility as a value generator, right, as a separator versus a cost center in the competition? What do you think?
In my, the value versus cost debate has been an age-old debate in any organization. The way I look at it is that you earn a certain revenue, which is your revenue, but somebody else's cost, and somebody is paying that revenue to you because there is a value in that revenue for those people. So having earned the revenue, then you incur a certain set of costs, and each of the costs in any organization, the difference between cost and the value is the value, because for getting the value, you have to incur the cost anyways. So therefore, if that cost is getting wasted, then it's a cost. But if the cost is enabling you to drive certain productive outcome, then it's a value. And for me, visibility is, I have always considered it visibility as a value. In the age-old days, it used to be physical. It used to be an army of people who would drive. Maybe the scale of the businesses were also smaller.
Yes.
They were more localized. But now the businesses are a lot more national, global, etc. And they're a lot more complex. And the number of things that you need to look at are also a lot larger. The velocity is much larger. Therefore, the importance of visibility gets even higher. And I am absolutely dead sure that it drives a visibility. The visibility drives value, and because it is driving a certain value for the organization, therefore you incur that cost. And like for example, I employ somebody, or for that matter, I am employed by my company and they are paying me a fancy salary, I guess. They pay that to me. It's a cost to the company, but I guess they pay me that, and I'm still in the employment because I bring in a certain value. Similarly, visibility I spend on because it gives me value. So that's the way I would look at it. There is no debate at all between cost and value. It is value. That's why I incur the cost.
Absolutely. And as long as you're able to justify, right, as an organization or as an individual, that you have amazing value, that the rest of the costs just become numbers. Absolutely, I agree with you.
So while supply chain reports into me, I also don the other hat of being a CFO, and there is no way I'll allow a cost to be incurred if it doesn't bring in value.
A dollar spent on a dime comes back into the organization. Absolutely. Let's get Hitesh onto the screen and take this forward in terms of the cost versus value proposition. And Hitesh, the point I want to make is the impact of outsourcing, right? And I know that Ultratech also has got a lot of OEM and ODM manufacturing facilities, right? What happens if your operations is much outsourced, right? If the organization has high percentage of your products made outside, not of their own factories, uh, what is the impact on visibility, and how do you do that integration, right? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah. At least in cement industry, we broadly I would talk about two part of outsourcing. One is the manufacturing setup, which you said, when we have few lease plants and outsourced plants through which we manufacture, where we need to ensure the uh, right set of quality standards and the service standards are maintained. And the other outsourcing mostly is with respect to our logistics and distribution, which is again a large scale outsourcing which we do at in cement industry. So in both this part, the I would again bring the point back that our process has to be standardized with all our vendors and outsource suppliers and partners. When we onboard our suppliers and partners, we also check how digital savvy are they, how are they comfortable with the digital environment, because that will all in turn will enable us to measure their performance in close to real time, right from our order allocation to indent management to truck placement to manufacturing of cement. All these key parameters which we almost look at it in real time should be available to us at a click of a button. So the thumb rule is to ensure process standardization and digitized processes when we have a large scale of outsourcing. Only with such digitized and standardized process we'll be able to control and review the performance on a regular basis. At the same time, that will also enable us to ensure the committed service levels to our customers are met. Uh, and also the onboarding of vendors and suppliers has to be very thoroughly done with respect to their digital readiness, their working operations has to be very digitally connected. Uh, Third thing is, as you rightly said, there is a lot of integration which is required. Integration of our supplier system, integration of our logistics system, integration of our also our customer interfaces also. When all these parts are integrated, uh, even with an outsource model, we will be able to deliver the service and the quality at the the most optimum cost.
Excellent, Hitesh. And you kind of brought in two elements there in terms of the outsourcing is supplier evaluations and supplier capabilities, right? Your partners network, and then integration of integration of systems with your outsourced partner, which brings in to me as a supply chain professional trust and transparency. And let's get Pankaj back and track. And Pankaj, talking about the leverage that you have in your ecosystem and then the trust and transparency you need with your suppliers, how critical it is to have trust and transparency with your partners to get the highest visibility. And second question is it guaranteed that if you have a trust and transparency and if you're integrated, then the visibility also is guaranteed to some extent?
Difficult question, but yeah, it's the requirement of the times. For me, it's a two-way street. So if I am providing the visibility of my plans to all the third parties, saying, "Ki, okay, overall for this product, this is the total delivery that we need to do," they too need to provide full visibility of the stock available at their units. So it's a two-way street. Second element is when you've already signed on with the partner, then there is no thinking about how much to share, what to share. It's agreed. You are a partner. It's a same team. When you are on the same team, then you don't need to think twice. And as verbalized earlier as well, all the partners that we have in the ecosystem have been with us for quite some time. So we also credit the growth to them. They've equally enabled our ecosystem to deliver to the consumers, and more so during COVID times. And those were the times where your partners kind of showed that they are equally feeling the pain and are equally taking up the responsibility to deliver. If they are doing that, it is our job to share as much data in a very transparent manner at the right time with them so that they are able to deliver better. If the partner is making a certain product and we don't pick it up and send it ahead to the consumer to sell it off, it doesn't look good. It doesn't provide the right level of respect to the effort that they've put in. Hence, for me, trust and transparency are the pillars on which you do business. Uh, and the name of my company is sufficient enough to say that. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Thank you. So there are two technology questions. And Vaibhav, let's talk about these two questions for you. One is from Mr. Vikas Bhaskar. Thank you very much, Vikasji. The question is how 5G technology is going to be a game changer, right? And we know the 5G technology is indeed going to be a game changer. And then there is another question about technology which came about Mr. Pawan Tejani. Do we expect the ultra wideband technology become mainstream as we move forward? So, one answer for the two questions, Vaibhav. Over to you.
Okay, I don't know what a ultra wideband technology is, so I'm not able to take that one. But I'll take the first question. So we had two questions in that one question only. One is how 5G is gonna impact the overall scenario, and what are the other upcoming 5 technologies that we should be aware of in terms of the supply chain visibility. So I guess 5G technology would definitely be a game changer because it provides far more seamless exchange of data. And when we're talking about visibility, we're talking about large amount of data being transferred from IoTs to cloud, from cloud to systems, so from systems to AI ML. So a lot of data transfer, seamless data transfer needs to happen. And with the internet speed getting better and better, this exchange of data would be seamless. Just now we saw that one of my panel members' screen got frozen. Probably that would not happen if we were on 5G technology. So that is also exchange of data, right? So all this with the betterment of exchange of data, what probably will happen is that the, the visibility will be seamless. It would be right on time. Immediate visibility will be given, and decisions will be taken much more faster. Apart from this, what also will happen, the IoTs will keep on developing themselves, and it would be very very cheap. The IoTs will also come on paper use basis, so you don't have to buy technology in terms of IoT. A lot of IoTs are right now also on paper use, but it will be more and more increasingly available. Manufacturing, your customer demand sensing, everything will move to these IoTs. Your smart watches will become cheaper, way of life. So everything of you will get tracked. Every action of you will get tracked. You will be mapped. You will become a product. And I'm a strong believer that after some time, we will become the product. The product would no longer be the IoTs. We will be the product that the companies will be consuming. Apart from that, the cloud thing will become very very potent after 5G, because everything will then go to cloud. More and more cloud servers will be needed. They will be generating a lot of heat, a lot of environmental this thing concerns will start coming in. You have blockchains which will authenticize the data.
Yeah.
Only the right data will flow through across the visibility. There will be no challenges on the data. Everyone know that the data that we are getting is correct. Then you would have big data. Your big database will become bigger and bigger. So you will have technologies that will be able to handle all this big data. Then you would have machine learnings, artificial intelligence, who will take decisions on this data. Then apart from that, you will have a lot of middleware who will stitch all this around and make it a solution, and will be able to provide to the customers, to the people who want to use it together. It will all stitch down into one product, and will be able to provide you. So that is how that technology, I guess, is developing and will keep on developing on this phase only.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vaibhav. Such a lovely answer. Let me go back to Mr. Pawan Tejani. And thank you so much, Pawanji, for asking a question. Technology is always fantastic, and we love to know something more about technology. And ultra wideband is, from my little knowledge that I have, it's a broadband technology. It's a radio-based communication middleware software technology used for very short range in an enclosed environment, and a very stable. It requires a very stable transmission of data. So you cannot use it in an open environment on the roads or in yards and warehouses, right? It is about transmission speed and reliability, especially when you're using it for applications which are life saving, which are for monotonous vehicles and everything, right? It is more of an indoor localization of moving assets into a complex and a space sensitive kind of an environment. So can we use it across India, pan across, for logistics and transportation of cold chain and vaccines? I do not think that will be the end solution, because given the limitation on the space and the data management over longer distances. Thank you very much, nevertheless, for asking questions. We love questions. Keep them coming, please. Thanks a lot. And thanks, Pankaj, for taking us through on that part. Let's bring again Pramod, more from a technology questions to on the ground, and talk about Arvind Fashions has a fantastic control tower. I remember having seen with one of my contacts earlier, and they use it for a lot of purposes. But let's talk about visibility for transport and logistics, which falls under your area. Can you explain how well integrated it is and how it has helped the organization?
I think Earlier also co-panelists have talked about, and some of the questions have been also that, your data resides in TMS, WMS, SAP, and so on and so forth. And when you, in our case especially, since the reverse logistics are also very important, because what you send to stores, some of them get sold, some of this has to come back. Then you make it available to the online players. You will have to give them visibility of the products that are likely to become available even before they actually become available, so that when, let's say, the stocks are lying in the store, but you want to sort of decide what to pull back, that pullback you will do on the basis of stocks that are chosen by the online partners. Some of this you may pull back only after they choose. Some of this you may like to pull back proactively based on certain, and therefore when they are in transit, they may lose visibility. So therefore, and then so one is that entire matter of stock planning. Then there is a matter of POD tracking. Then there is a matter of making sure that your entire set of vendor partners, whether it is warehouse partners or it is transport partners, all of them are held accountable to their SLAs, so on and so forth. So therefore, all of these things, when you try to integrate all of them, integrating so many systems together becomes very, very difficult and technologically extremely challenging. So what we have done, and we sort of implemented Intugine solution around 2 years back, and then over a period of time with Intugine solution as one of the backbones, and apart from that we have Xstore and SAP, etc. Anyways, so working with Harshit and his team, we have been able to develop something called a transport control tower, or which is now becoming more of a logistics control tower, which gives a visibility of inventories across a disparate set of systems. It enables us to even do revenue recognition, because when we do like especially, let's say, with the online partners and the large distribution chains, you can send the stocks, but depending on their availability of space in the distribution centers, they give appointments, and therefore there are, at any point in time, there are stocks that are lying in the front end, in the forward distribution chain, etc. So you need visibility of being able to understand what has been delivered, so that you are able to do your revenue recognition. So we have been using the transport tower for JIT reduction, for monitoring of aging stocks. We have been even using it for shelf availability planning in the retail stores, digital POD mapping. So therefore it enables reconciliation of JIT and also holding the transporters accountable, and also revenue recognition. And since there is a very high level of automation we have been able to do with all of these things, so obviously it has an improvement on the productivity also. Therefore, it's been enormous amount of work that has been done over a period of time. I had to really provide a lot of personal sponsorship within the organization. I had to work on internal problem solving, explaining the case of change to various people, etc. And sometimes even having tough conversations as needed. So, but we pretty much love the final outcome that we have been able to implement over a period of time. So multiple benefits of implementing the transport tower, or the logistics tower, logistics control tower, as I would call it.
Excellent, Pramod, and such a nice example. And good to see a CFO praising a supply chain event. Naturally, you also own supply chain, but in a finance person talking about benefits really coming out of an initiative. So
it gives me higher throughput. It reduces my obsolescence. It improves my JIT. Therefore, improves my inventory turn. So therefore, I am looking at it purely from, let's say, the financial metrics that I would like to look at.
Sure. Excellent. And Vaibhav, just moving over to you, I know you also have a case study in the mind. Can you just bring it to the audience?
Yeah, why not? So, in fact, let me talk about recently what we are trying to do. So there is a forum created by CII. Which, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but your voice sounds a bit different now.
Okay. Is it better now?
No, it sounds like Darth Vader.
I would have to I would have to probably log off and log in. Meanwhile, you can just take someone else's point of view.
No, you can yeah, that we can do that. Yeah, you can log out and log in. Not an issue. In the meantime, I will get over to Pankaj. And Pankaj, there is a question from Miss Meghna Patil, and thank you so much, Meghna ma'am. The question is, Pankaj, have you faced challenges where customers have digitalized their processes but not using the system efficiently? And Pankaj, you have to be very careful, right? Because you're going to talk about fail fast formula. So over to you.
So, Meghna, yes. Simple answer is pretty much yes. Have we faced issues? Yes. Are we facing issues? We still are. So, how do we approach, delay in entering data, data accuracy issues, resistance to adopting the system, basic challenges whenever you talk about change management? Very easy to speak about, very difficult to do. As Sanjay said at the start, right? That's the effect that you have on your body. Overall, I have used an approach where I sit with the person. I may not be able to sit with everybody, but whoever is the main person entering the data, you sit with the person and you ask him or her, why do you don't want to do this? So it actually throws up two things. Either there is a resistance for the sake of resistance, or there is a genuine input that nobody's even asked that person why or how should we go about doing this. So that opens up a new avenue for you to improve. Second, delay in entering the data, data accuracy issues. Is the new system easy for that person to use to enter the data? I have seen in most cases, no, it is not. Two, the UI UX is not easy. Three, nobody is even trained that person. Ki this is the change that is about to come. This is how you enter it here instead of entering it there. Fourth, that person continues to make the report in Excel or put the data in a certain manner while continuing to bring about this change which you have envisaged in a certain silo separately. So, taking people together, I'm not saying everybody coming in and agreeing to it will also improve or give you 100% assurance warranty that change will happen. No, it will improve the percentage acceptance of the system and people understand what are we trying to do. It will weed out all the solvable issues, and the only ones remain would be people resisting it for the sake of resisting it, and they are also sometimes like children, they want a little more attention. That's what I've seen. So yes, today as well, masters, if masters in the transaction systems like SAP, if you would be using them, if masters are not maintained correctly, then the process, the analytics, and the decision making goes for a toss. Two, in terms of entering the complete data, so there's accuracy, consistency, and comprehensiveness. These are the three elements that we look at whenever data is being entered. If and on time as well. If four of these elements are not done properly while bringing about a digital change, the change doesn't happen, you are actually going to fail. You're going to fail big time because you have, if there are 100 people, you've got 70 people on board and the other 30 are not convinced, or you've not moved on to a certain percentage. It You will have to go back and start holding those 70 people together. Your task will increase on adoption. So are these challenges there? Yes, they are there. Trudy, will they continue? Yes, they will continue. It has to, you have to sit together, talk to them, solve for it, and go ahead. That's all you can do. That's my simple answer to it. Sanjay, back to you.
Well said, Pankaj. And just talk about how about saying today is very popular is fail fast, get back on track, or even there's another term that we are hearing is shoot and adjust, right? Earlier it used to be aim and shoot. Now people say shoot adjust, right? So the fail fast formula and then get it right. How would you just take it as the next question on this in terms of is there a lesson learning in that and does it really help? Pankaj, is for you.
Sanjay, I'll have to request a repeat because I lost audio in the middle. I was training hard. If you could please
Sure.
do that again.
So, right, as we say today, fail fast approach, right? You fail fast and get up and learn from it and do it right. Now, does it really work in terms of an IT implementation today in your experience?
So, as I said, if you've crossed a certain percentage of threshold, the other people have no other option left, right? So, if you got the majority using it, the rest of them who are resisting only for the sake of resistance will have to either start using it, or that's the group which drops into the job loss part of it, to be very, very blunt and honest.
Excellent. Excellent. And guys, if you realize we are almost 90 minutes up right on the dot. This was supposed to be there, but let's extend by 5 minutes because there are still some questions coming in, and I would really like to take and thank our delegates. So, Vaibhav, back to you for your case study since you are back.
Right. Am I audible now? Is it better?
Yes, you are.
Okay, perfect. No, I was talking about a recent thing that we are doing. So, in fact, a lot of FMCG companies have come together with the help of CII. And what we are trying to do is we're trying to take benefit of the empty miles that these transporters do across the country. So, what we are so we have made a forum in which we are kind of sharing our movements. We are selecting a third party, and with the third party, we are sharing our movements with them. And what this third party will do is this third party will map all the movements across the country and the vehicles that are available for the reverse load. So that in total, what will happen is one, the service provider will gain because the empty movements will get minimized. The overall economy will gain because nobody is kind of getting benefited by these empty miles. Second, as a user, I will get benefit because I will get a cheaper rate because right now my service provider was doing an empty mile back, so that was also somehow getting charged to me. So I will not now get charged for that. So I will benefit overall. Everyone will get benefits. A win-win situation for everyone. How we are trying to achieve it is through visibility. Obviously, through visibility because what these parties will do is they will create a visibility of the real-time vehicle movement from one place to another, and what are the loads available for them for coming back. So that and a portal will be made in which we as users can log on and put in our request what we want, and the system will automatically match what is available versus what is wanted, and so that overall things can be more can get synchronized at a far better level, and this visibility will create a win-win situation for all. That is what we are doing, and uh, and this will create some kind of a better overall ecosystem for everyone.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Really appreciate it with that case study. Last question for the day. And Harshit, to get you onto the screen, this question is from Ms. Shobha. Thank you very much, Shobha ma'am. The question is, government has come up with few new schemes, especially to boost up manufacturing, where companies will require WMS, TMS, and manufacturing all combined probably into one box. Do we have something ready in the hand? Harshit, as a platform person, as a software middleware creator, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Sanjay. So, I think first of all, we'd like to applaud the efforts of the government here because lately, over past few months, we have been working very closely with government, with Niti Aayog, right? And I think you might have heard in this budget session they have talked about inventory, the transit inventory, bringing transparent visibility, and how it can benefit everyone, right? So I think government is proactively coming up with a lot of schemes. They have actually made they have actually helped in bringing a lot of transparency with tracking, for example, using the toll infrastructure, allowing with the consent of transporter, allowing the access to the vehicle databases and driver databases to know beforehand whether this truck or this driver fits the load that you want to ship, right? And they have been opening up Indian Railway APIs, port APIs, etc., to bring transparency across the ecosystem. So we really applaud that effort from the government. It was we were sort of long waiting for that. And then to answer specifically on, let's say, smaller enterprises using systems like TMS and WMS and bunch of other systems. So what we have seen is that smaller enterprises generally prefer to work with more modular systems where they don't have to do either a full-fledged WMS or a full-fledged TMS. They basically, out of 10 different things that a TMS can do, they'll pick and choose the 2 or 3 different things out of 10 different things that a WMS will do. They'll pick and choose the 2 or 3 things that they care about, and then they'll get those modules implemented. And then what becomes very important is that when you have, let's say, 5 or 6 disjoint systems, you have one middleware, as Vaibhav was mentioning, which can actually talk to all these discrete systems and can bring all the data on one place for them to basically take actions. So a lot of supply chain visibility companies, including us, are trying to build these larger supply chain control towers, which can talk to all these discrete systems, and then can provide one single view to the customers.
Excellent, fantastic. And guys, we are very much above the time that we said, right? And 5 minutes was extended. So I would like to stop here. Want to thank each and everybody. Want to thank Intugine and Harshit for actually sponsoring this and running this program. Thanks, Hitesh, for being there. Thanks, Pramod. Thanks, Vaibhav. And thanks, Pankaj. Also would like to thank Celerity, Charu, Akash, and Prerna, and the entire team at the back. And most important for today, all of our 900 over 1,000 over video views and private chats and comments that have been going around for the last 90 odd minutes is something fantastic. Thanks for your support. Really, namaskar, everybody. Have a great evening, and back to Charu. It has been a wonderful show today by all our delegates. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sanjay ji. So though it's my turn to speak, I was actually enjoying the listening more. Very interactive, extremely insightful and interesting discussion. So I would like to express my appreciation to the panelists for their excellent thought-provoking ideas and sharing their experiences. So many thanks to all of them. Sanjay ji, thanks to you for your usual brilliant way of moderating and making it an interactive session. We hope that we've been able to share something useful for the audience and that the audience has benefited from this webinar. The questions which could not be answered during the webinar will be taken up by our team, and we will revert with a reply on the LinkedIn comment itself. The video of this webinar will continue to be available on our pages on Celerity Supply Chain Tribe on LinkedIn and YouTube. We will also publish this webinar as a story in our upcoming March issue of the magazine, and we will share the digital copy on LinkedIn as well as via email to everybody. Our next e-conference is about transforming business through procurement on 25th of March. The nominations for Celerity Supply Chain Awards are also open, and we are also proud to announce our new venture, Celerity Supply Chain Tribe Jobs. So continue to follow our page, Celerity Supply Chain Tribe on LinkedIn, and get all our updates. Thank you once again and have a great evening ahead. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys. Great job today.
Thank you.
Each one of you. Thank you.
Sanjay, thanks, Charu. Thanks a lot to the delegates.
Thanks.